Public Library Board of Trustees regular meeting. Today is Thursday, May 28th, and I'd like to request roll call by Secretary Tori Yu.
Sure. Trustee Augusta?
Present.
Trustee Dooley?
Present.
Trustee Lawler?
Did we lose?
I see Bill.
Bill, you're on mute. Hit the microphone.
There he is.
Here.
Okay.
Trustee Lawler is here. Trustee Mishner?
I'm here.
Trustee Messernack?
Here.
Trustee Wood?
Here.
Trustee Yu, present. Student Representative Chang?
Present.
Student Representative Tangirala?
Present.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right. And now I'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of
United States of America.
and to
To the
the
Republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
liberty
and justice
for all.
Thank you. All right. First, we'll have the approval and overview of the agenda. Are there any changes or anything we need to be aware of?
Trustee Augusta or President Augusta, I just wanted to make you all aware that you did receive an email this afternoon that relates to item H on your matters for board action, which is the pandemic procedures. I want to make sure everyone received them.
Yes.
We will
Yes.
discuss them. Great. Thank you so much.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve an overview of agenda?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No opposed. All right, consent agenda, which is number 5. First, we'll do the approval of regular meeting minutes from April 23rd. That's on pages 5 through 15. That was our first online meeting, right? It was exciting. Any discussion? Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. And the second part is the approval of claims and warrants. This is for?
It's for number 590.
Thank you, for 269 account. That was for May of 2020. That's on 16 and 17.
It should be, I apologize, it should be for 268 accounts and 269 accounts.
Right, that's what I'm like, yeah, 268, 269. I'm like, wait, no,
Yes.
we're missing 268. Okay, so approval for claims and warrants for account 268 and account 269. Any questions or discussion? Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Second? Second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great. Number 6, correspondence.
We do have 2 correspondence this evening. The first one is on page 18, and this was a handwritten note by Tia Marie Sanders, who is the program coordinator for Feed the Need. This is a program that's run through the Novi Rotary and our Novi Community School District, along with a lot of support from many active faith communities here in Novi as well. The library participated, and actually our teens will talk about this later during their teen report, but this is a thank you for the partnership and the opportunity that the library has taken to be involved in the Feed the Need program over the last few years. The second note is an actual email. It's from the Walled Lake Community School District. The email is from Lisa Sobel. She's an executive assistant to the superintendent. I just wanted to show that we were working very closely with Walled Lake Community School District before the pandemic. We had hoped to get library cards in the hands of the students in order to get us ready for the lending library project. As you can see here with what happened with the pandemic and everything, they've asked us to hold off until the fall, which is not a problem. We will work very closely with them. Come the end of August, we'll reach out and stay connected with them to make sure that their students that live in Novi have a new library card that can connect them to the lending library. And we'll be doing lending library campaigns probably in August as the machine rolls out. So I'm sure we'll connect with a number of those families, but we will be able to connect with Walled Lake Community School District as soon as possible.
Two things. In regards to the Feed the Need, I did a couple volunteering and it was really cool. Yeah. I saw this little boy, it was freezing and he walked across the parking lot and he's like, "Can I have two, please?" And my heart just...
It is a wonderful program for this community, and we have a lot of students that are in need of nourishment and food through the week. And I know that they also pack some extra things to make it through the weekend. And this program went into full effect when the pandemic started in March, and the Rotary and school district jumped right on it right away to serve our community. And I know that they'll continue also through the summer. So this has just been a wonderful opportunity. I know that Trustee Dooley can speak about this because she's also on the Rotary board, but this has been a wonderful program to be providing to our Novi community.
Yes, thanks for volunteering, Melissa. I hope people get to volunteer. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it was nice. And the second thing, I'm really glad Walled Lake reached out just to say, hey, we're interested, but not till. So that was so kind of them, especially with everything going on.
It is. We have been in communication with them, wanting to get things ready. And then it just happened with the timing. So we will be very much in contact with them as we get closer to the new school year starting. I know that they're very busy right now with the virtual learning. So we'll hold off. They're on the top of our list to connect with as the lending library gets going and as fall starts.
Any more questions or discussion?
I just want to say really quick, I was very impressed on Twitter. I saw that Evol had mentioned that they even worked on Monday on Memorial Day to make sure that the food didn't miss a beat. And I was really impressed by that because I never take time off, but I take Memorial Day off. So I was really impressed that they didn't take that day off because kids are hungry.
I are.
Oh, I do have a question. Julie, for the library cards for Walled Lake, I know that when we're issued library cards at the Novi Library, we can load it into our app.
Yes.
And I think you can scan from the app.
Yes.
So is there a way, just for future, we don't have to do it now, but is there a way to register people electronically so that they can get loaded into the app so that they might not have the physical laminate? I'm just thinking for the future, just in case. That might be a quicker way.
Right. We are actually doing that right now because we're getting cards to people virtually now.
Perfect.
When they call us and they provide the information. We're making it work. And so, yeah, we're definitely not going to go backwards. These are things we'll have to talk about as we move forward and how to make it easier to get a library card. Once a library card is scanned into a phone, though, I just want to let you know that if they go ahead and use the new lending library out at Lakeshore Park when that opens, it'll be easy to scan from their phones as well. So even though we're giving out cards physically, they'll be able to put them in their phones and use it from the machine too.
Perfect. Thanks, Julie.
Welcome.
Thanks. All right, thank you. We do not have any presentations or special guests at this time. So we'll get
We do not. President Augusta, if you just wouldn't mind me just mentioning that we are hoping that Community Financial Credit Union will join us in June if we can be in person. I would just love the personal touch connecting with them. We don't want to hold them off too long, but we'll wait and see.
Good to know. Thank you. All right. Number 8, student representative report.
This is the April 2020 Library Board Student Representative Report, and this was created by Lindsay Bojak, our library staff liaison. So for the tween and teen library programs this year, the library was closed to the public, but there are still some activities that teens were able to participate from home, such as the teen online scavenger hunt that allowed teens to get to know the library more, and the answers could be found on the library website. And there was also a teen poetry writing challenge that was held to recognize National Poetry Month in April, and teens could submit a poem or haiku. And also both activities gave participants a chance to win a gift card to the library cafe. For the Teen Space update, there is no update since March 2020.
Wow.
I know it's sad.
For the breakdown of the Teen Space numbers for the 2019-2020 school year, we had 605 guests in September, 814 guests in October, 503 guests in November, 469 guests in December, 405 guests in January, 395 guests in February, and 168 guests in March, with the last day being the 12th, and 0 guests in April due to the pandemic, obviously. And for the total we had this school year was 3,359 guests. The Teen Advisory Board update. The April TAB meeting was held virtually through Zoom. The team shared what they have been doing during the Stay Safe, Stay at Home order. Ms. Farkas, the library director, was a guest speaker to discuss an opportunity that one of the TAB members presented to a sponsor, a Feed the Need community drive. More details are actually seen in the flyer in the next page. But the next TAB meeting will be held virtually. I know it says on May 15th, but it'll actually be tomorrow. And the officer elections for the 2021 school year will be conducted in that meeting tomorrow. The attendance for the April meeting was 9. For the upcoming programs, we have the NPL is planning to offer a summer full of virtual programs. To help meet the needs of the virtual needs of guests, a survey was sent out to obtain feedback. On page 21 here, we see the flyer for the Novi Rotary Foundation, in which Ms. Farkas already explained in the beginning about how a TAB and the Novi Library and the Novi community teamed up to provide lunches for students who can't obtain lunches regularly. And in this page 22, we see how the library is coping with the challenge of virtual programs. And I'd like to also add that the library will be giving access to college prep courses via their website.
Oh, nice.
Thank you so much, Tarun. If I can just add, I just a kudos to the Teen Advisory Board, and Tarun and Sarah, I know you're just coming on board, but this was a wonderful opportunity that came from the students. They wanted to get involved right away when March and the pandemic happened. You can see that you can volunteer time, you can donate supplies, and now even monetary donations can be made online. And I do understand that they have received some significant donations monetarily. Is that correct, Trustee Dooley?
Yes, that's correct. This is a new thing for the Novi Rotary Club and Foundation. And so the community's been amazing, and they've already started to bring in some funds, and we really appreciate the Teen Advisory Board. On behalf of Rotary, since I'm also on that, I just want to say thank you to you guys, because you publicized it and you got it out into the community, and that helped us out a lot. So we really appreciate it.
And if we, oh, go ahead.
No, I'm so glad they publicized it, because it was so easy to donate.
It was, and the students were great. They really took this on as a wonderful project. So thank you, Tarun and Sarah. I know you're just coming on board, but this is great leadership from all of you. Sarah is our newest member as a student rep, and she included a little bio on page 20 for all of you. But Sarah, if you'd like to just take a few seconds to just introduce yourself and share a little bit about yourself, we'd love to know more.
Well, first of all, my name is Sarah, and I'm currently a sophomore in Novi High School, and I play the violin in my school's orchestra. And I also like to participate in a lot of volunteering around the community. I actually did volunteer at the library as well. And I'm currently starting my own animals club at my school to help out any homeless or animals that are in need.
And you can see Sarah's photo on page 20. She's included her pet from home. So
Yeah.
Tarun, I think, is probably very excited to have a partner now with the student reps, because I know that you're going to be presenting in July on what the year looked like. So we'll be looking forward to Tarun and Sarah joining us in June, but also in July for their annual report for all of you to see. And then they'll be planning their goals and what the new school year of 2021 will look like as they meet with the Teen Advisory Board. I know that Sarah and Tarun, I believe I'm looking at my cheat sheet, your appointments go through 2020. Yes. So what I'm hoping, because of what grade you're in, you will stay with us and you have enjoyed working with us. So that's just my little plug for you to think about now, while you have the summer. We have enjoyed working with you and we hope that you'll continue with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you both.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye. Bye, Sarah. How fun. I love, even though they're not in person, they're still doing stuff.
I know.
That's really
Great
good.
kids.
Yeah. All right. President's report. Oh, that's me. All right. The goal update, we're not going to do that today. That'll be in July. And it'll be a summary of this year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. The strategic objectives for the 3-year, that's on page 22. And those are the same and are finalized and look beautiful. And then committee assignments. I haven't heard anything from anybody. Did I send the email out?
I didn't see anything.
I don't think I did. I'm sorry. I'm good with leaving them the same if everyone is good with leaving them the same.
I'm good with it.
I mean, at this point,
Yeah.
with the current conditions, I can understand.
All right.
That.
And I'll be honest, a lot of you are working right now with me on some things, and I would think you'd want to follow through and finish up when it comes to the policy and HR committees, finance, things like that. So I would welcome the same, just because I know that we've got a lot of things that we have kind of sitting on the burner right now.
Any objectives, any objection to leaving them the same? All right.
Oh, fine.
I just wanted to really quick just to get out my thoughts. I think with everything going on, my opinion would be leaving it the same from my perspective, because there's so much going on just as a whole, so much change and modification, etc. So it just seems like that would be more simpler. But that's my opinion. I think Craig wanted to say something too.
Leave them the same. Okay, good. They're good. Perfect. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Woo. Quarantine brain. And the library director annual report, I talked to Marcia and she's going to email them all out to you. She just asked, she'll put in the email the date she would like for you to send it back to her. So then what she'll do is she'll get a copy for Julie. So, and I think it'll be the Monday before our meeting in June.
Okay.
And then we'll figure out what we need to do to go into a special session. Yeah, probably 2 Zoom meetings or something.
Yeah, if we're not virtually, it'll be like normal. We'll go into session, but they do have executive session virtually. So I'll just make sure that the city is aware of that if we are in a virtual meeting. I did receive a copy of the form that I need to fill out from Marcia Dominic in order to present to all of you. I'll make sure that's also done a week in advance so that you can read that synopsis of my information ahead of time.
That's super helpful. Really quick, guys, I don't know if this is relevant right now, but it seems like it ties in. For me, I'm going to be virtual for a while for everything I'm involved in. So I just want to throw that out there. So however I can get Zoomed in or whatever.
Good to know. All right, so stay tuned. That should be coming in your mailbox. And now we're to the treasurer's report.
All right, so there is, if you read if you see the meeting or the report that Julie sent out, there's a couple additional columns there. And later on in the meeting, we will be voting for a modification to the budget with the column titled 2019-2020 fourth quarter amendment. That'll impact this year budget, and then also modification to next year's budget. And so we'll save discussion on those details for the latter part of the meeting when we have to vote on those. So what I'm going to be covering is still what we have approved to today. So it'll be the column titled 2019-2020 approved, just in case anyone had any questions on that. So starting off here for the approved budget for Fund 268 for this fiscal year, you'll find those on pages 24 through 26. And on page 26, you'll see that hasn't changed again through this year. The revenues of $3,147,439 with the expenditures of $3,234,539 with a impact of $92,100 coming out of the fund budget. Page 27, you'll find the approved budget for Fund 269. Total revenues 39,500, total expenditures of 75,250, with a net impact of 35,750 coming out of the fund at the end of this year. If you head on to pages 51 and 52, you'll see that total revenues as of April 30th were $3,178,707, which is, if you look at what the budget was, that's actually slightly higher than our budget. So that's a positive impact. Total expenditures are $2,458,509 with expenditures month over month of $206,546. So I think what you'll see is as we approach the end of this fiscal year, we actually are looking very strong. And again, we'll see that with the amendments that we're going to be voting on at the end of this meeting. For the Fund 269 as of April 30th, we expected, we had total revenues of $43,460, total expenditures of $11,851. Net positive of $31,609. Ending fund balance for Fund 268 is $2,815,055. You'll find it on page 33. And on page 34, you'll find the ending fund balance for Fund 269 is $1,707,695. Any questions?
Yeah.
I think we'll have greater discussion at the end of this meeting as we look at the amendments that we need to vote on.
Agree.
Sounds good. All right, number 11, the director's report.
Okay, I'm going to start on page 35, and I'm going to start with our upcoming June anniversaries that we will be celebrating, and these are staff anniversaries. Our first one is Kathy Huff, and she's with our support services team. She's been with us 12 years. Mary Gruel, support services team, and 12 years as well. Lindsay Gochai, who is our teen librarian, part of information services, and she'll be celebrating 5 years. Laura Bateman with our support services department, and she'll be celebrating 5 years. Eileen Mazzarello, support services, celebrating 3 years. Joe Plosky from our facilities department, 3 years. Ruth Rice, support services, and she's celebrating 2 years. And Charlie Hokett, who is our with our information technology team, and he's our systems, our network administrator now, moved up, you know, from starting in our iCube to one of our full-time positions, which was wonderful to see that happening in our organization. And Charlie's been with us 1 year. I want to share with all of you that last night from 7 to 8, the staff and there were over 30 of us, we had a little Zoom party from 7 to 8 o'clock. And this was one of the first times that we've connected, you know, together. I send out videos and I'm trying to connect with them on a regular basis, but this was an after hours fun time for all of us to connect. And we celebrated birthdays that we know we've missed since March. We celebrated anniversaries. We have a new MPL baby coming in June. And so we're excited about one of our staff having their first baby, so we celebrated that. We did have a retirement. She was unable to join us last night, but we have said goodbye to her and we made note of her last night. And then we had a graduation. We had one of our staff graduate from library school, Ray Manella, and she's now certified as a librarian. So it was a lot of fun for an hour just to connect, not talk about work, but you know, see how everybody's doing, check in, and people checked in from their pools, from outside. They shared their animals, and it was just a really nice hour just to be together and just share a little bit and give me a chance to just check in and see how everybody is. It really warmed my heart actually to see all of them. So they're doing well. I know they're ready to come back to work, and we're ready to bring them back as soon as we can. So that was a lot of fun for us. The retirement plan participation, we'll talk about for matters for board action. It's just a very small change in that. Moving on to page 37, I want to let you know that both Barb Rakowski from IT and myself, we are aware of the CARES Act grant program, and we will be applying, hoping to get some money back in relation to technology and PPE and building related facilities, things that we believe we will qualify for. So we will be filling out that grant, and I just wanted to make you aware of that. If you see on page 37, this happened on Friday night at 5:08, and the library is under the executive order of 2/20/100. We remain closed through the 12th of June. Our information right now sharing to the community is that we're remaining closed through Sunday, June 14th, and we hope to have staff back in the building and working on the return process as of the 15th of June, hoping or barring that nothing changes from that date. But I wanted you to have the most up-to-date information as of Friday. On page 39, that's the COVID-19 preparedness and response plan. We will talk about that during board matters for board action. The library reopening policy on page 43, we will also talk about that during matters for board action. I've included for you just an overview through pages 55 of what those phases look like. There was a 6th phase added just based on timing and to relate better to the reopening plan after reviewing it with our attorney. We will also talk about, which was sent to you because I did not have it yet ready, but the pandemic procedures, we'll talk about that during matters for board action. On page 56, the Family Medical Leave Act, the FMLA expansion, and emergency paid sick leave policy related to coronavirus. We'll talk about that during matters for board action. Moving forward onto page 61, I just wanted you to see an email that came on May 6th from the Library Network. This is our consortium, giving you just a little bit of information about them starting to prepare for how they will move materials once they also get released from the executive order, which they also follow under the 2/20/100. So they're looking, if you look at the 4 bullet points, they are looking for delivery to get going as soon as possible. And I do believe it'll start 15th when we can bring back our staff as well. So they'll try to get going as quickly as possible. They're asking for a minimum of 24 hours that items are quarantined. We will follow that of a 24-hour quarantine. And then I've shared with you that we do also have an ultraviolet machine that all of our items will go into and will be sanitized. So I feel confident with a 24-hour quarantine plus the sanitization of the machine in order to move the materials on. They will then be considered sanitized and can move to shelves and then can even move out to our patrons to be checked out. As I shared before, we do have over 27,000 items that are sitting in homes right now in Novi. That's our first priority, is to start getting those back when we can start acting into the phases. And right now we're in our virtual phase. Our second phase is virtual and returns. So we will get going as soon as we can when those executive orders lift. TLN will not be quarantining materials as it's expected for us libraries to do so. And we all are in agreement to do that on our own. Therefore, they're going to be just transferring quarantine materials once they get going. They have asked, for us to follow with some disinfecting, and we will. We've got huge stringent disinfecting processes in place that we will handle as we move forward. And again, their drivers, we've already made some changes. Their drivers won't be coming into our building. They'll be dropping off. Luckily, we have a loading dock area. They'll be able to drop those materials every day there, not have to enter our building, compromise our staff or themselves. And then we'll move the materials in for the staff. And then we'll get them out to that same outer door each night so that pickup can be done and drop offs. But we're excited that we have these plans already in place. On page 62, you can see the We Miss You Novi, and some of the staff took part in putting this out on social media. Just some of the ways we're trying to interact with the community. On page 63, Trustee Lawler, you had asked at the April meeting about some information about online resources and college prep for our students. So I wanted you to see on page 63 the resources that were put together and that were shared both with our website and with Facebook. We're not able to do an in-person yet in terms of classes like we've done in the past, but we have put a number of resources together. And then as soon as we can provide some of that, we will. I have asked our teen librarian, Lindsay Gochai, to continue to look into this in order to provide some type of training and classes if we can. On page 64, this is just our e-newsletter from May. I wanted to, just keeping a history of what's going on. So that's included for you, as well as provided on May 15th. There was a new update that went out yesterday, and that does explain that we are closed through Sunday, June 14th, for the library based on the new executive order. Moving forward, on page 75 is the Information Technology Report by Barbara Rakowski. That's at the top of the page, and then starting towards the bottom of page 75, that is the facilities report by Keith Perfect. As you can see, a lot of cleaning, disinfecting, and preparing our building has gone on over the last few months, when we can do that. One thing that is missing from the report, but I will make sure is put into the June report, is some social media information and numbers. I know they were in it last month. I'm so sorry that it was missed this month, so we'll make sure that you see them for April and for May in the June packet. Moving forward on page 77 is April Stevenson and her April report for the Information Services Department. And then also April went ahead and we put out a survey starting on page 78. You can see the responses and the information that came back. 654 people responded to questions related to virtual programming so that we have some ideas on how to move forward with what we're planning for this summer. As you know, we've decided to go virtual all summer, June, July, and August for our programming. And we've started doing the virtual programming already, but June, July, and August will be completely virtual. And this will help guide us a little bit, getting some feedback from our community. So we really appreciate getting this information. On page 82 is Marianne Zermulin's April report. And you can see at the bottom, she did include the COVID closure information, but what was missing is the social media. So I'll make sure that that does get reported next month. The regular statistics that we normally provide are in there. You can see with downloadables, there are some large numbers because our downloadables are definitely being used in these times when we have been closed. I'm happy to entertain any questions at this time related to the information that I've provided to you tonight.
I think this is great. It's really awesome to see people downloading materials. I actually had somebody ask me, hey, tell me about the library. What's the plan? So people are very excited still about our library and they're utilizing it in any form they can get it. I like the social media contact, the videos you've been doing, Julie, but some of the engagement from your staff. I love the promo. And one thing you did not mention, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, go for it.
So there's a new podcast, guys, and do you want me to say it?
Yes, go for it.
So Gail and David, right?
Yes.
Asked me to be one of the guests for the podcast. So if you get to listen, you'll hear some tips from a mental health perspective.
Put it on my list.
We've actually put on a number now. I think we're over 6 or 7 podcasts now that people can listen to. The last one I actually took part in because I talked about reopening without sharing any dates because we don't know them. I went ahead and gave some ideas for how we'll reopen and what that will look like to the community. Also, Eva Sobolchek, she did a podcast on the Lakeshore Lending Library and that coming. So there's a number of different ways that you can listen to it. I highly recommend it if you haven't yet listened in. David and Dana, Sarah Vander, Hillary, Gail, they're all doing a wonderful job putting these together. And we are getting special guests when we can. We even had Michael Zadorian, our author from Community Read back in November. He had a new book come out in May, and he offered to do a podcast with staff. So we have an author already as well. We're very excited that that's a new thing that's come up since this pandemic.
That's very nice. I missed the podcast.
If you go to the Facebook, but there's a number of links and I can get it for you. It's also on our website.
I'll find it. I love Miss Linda and her books, I feel like a little kid. Like I haven't heard her kid books. Like, will you be my mom? The monster that ate the little boy. I'm like, what?
And she's also doing a pen pal program right now where the kids can write her letters.
Yeah.
So those are slowly trickling into the library and we're getting those to her, which is great because it's allowing kids to work on their writing skills, and it gives the chance for the kids to share information and work with a parent even. And this might be the first letter they've ever written. Everything is so technological now. So we're kind of going back old school on some things and it's a great way for us to interact as well.
And I like how you guys are getting the senior pictures. I'm going to post those. Yeah.
Post yours. Let's see some of our trustees. I promise to pull out my crazy hair from the 90s.
I look like a boy. The senior all-night party and the seniors are requesting people to decorate their houses on Saturday, and the seniors are gonna drive around and we're gonna woohoo everybody. So
there was no bits and pieces report from TLN this month, but I did want to let you know I put in a small little piece of information that Jim Platts, the executive director from TLN, he will be retiring. I just heard that I think it's around October that he'll be leaving, so they will have a large position to fill with the consortium, and they're working on that currently. So just wanted to let you know that in case I don't get communication, directly from him, or if a report doesn't happen, it might be because of that, and obviously with what's going on currently.
Any more questions or discussion? Sorry, go ahead.
Question, and I'm on page 83 of the library board's stats. So since we are closed, it says items checked out 36. So what items are we checking out? I'm just curious.
That's a good question. I will have to look and find out because I don't know what's gone out. It might be staff just with hot spots and things like that we know that we are keeping track of, but I will double check for you on that, Trustee Yu.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. It's not read cart items because those are separate. So I will double check and get that information for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any additional questions or discussion? Thank you. All right, committee reports. Policy Committee, Chair Mishner.
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. HR Committee, nothing at this time. Finance Committee, you guys are busy.
Yeah, I think, again, we will talk about this at the end of the meeting, the modifications to the budget. That's all we have.
All right. Events, marketing, and fundraising, Chair Yu.
We have no events happening right now.
All right. Strategic Planning Committee, it says no report at this time.
That's correct.
Awesome. And Building Landscape Committee, Chair Meshnick.
Just a couple things, as you'll see there, the drainage work is supposed to start the middle of June. They've done a little landscaping work with some mulch. The Lakeshore project is slowly but surely moving ahead. It looks like you'll see there the July 31st date as far as getting some concrete work done. The library van, the wrap should be completed in mid-June. And you'll see the insurance costs down there under the flood as far as the total damage of a little over 23,000. We had a $10,000 deductible, so obviously that leaves the difference that was reimbursed to us.
And if I could just speak quickly on that, there was some misunderstanding. At first, when I reached out, there is a fund that the city has. Unfortunately, the library being separate is not part of that fund. So it is a $10,000 deductible cost on the library that we did have to fund out of our budget. So that's why I made some of those adjustments after our conversation with the finance committee, but you've seen that information.
Is that all, sir?
That's it.
Thank you. Bylaw committee?
No activity at this time.
All right, public comment. In order to hear all citizen comments at a reasonable hour, the library board requests that speakers respect the 3-minute time limit. This is not a question and answer session, therefore library board members will not respond to questions. It is an opportunity to voice your thoughts with the Novi Public Library Board of Trustees. I do not believe we have anybody in attendance today. So we will move to item number 14, matters for board action. And we're going to start with the amendment for fourth quarter amendment for 2019 through 2020 budget 268, and that's on 24 through 26.
Trustee Wood, do you want to go ahead and talk through that?
Is this the green column?
Sure. I mean, I will do it as best I can here. Okay. So there's two items again that I stated we were gonna. It's not the green budget. It's I'll call it the brown. There may be a better name than light brown or dark tan. The budget, the column right in the middle. So we're going to talk about two columns. The green is the budget amendment for next fiscal year. The column in the middle there is the amendment for the budget this fiscal year. So that's why it's called fourth quarter amendment. With that here, we are, the items highlighted in yellow are the adjustments. So you can easily see where the modifications are. We met as a finance committee, discussed this with Julie. All of the items are very logical. Most of the items are modifications down. And I think what you'll see at the end result is, originally we were looking at a $92,000 shortfall, and now we're looking at a $34.44 positive with the budget. So I think everything you're seeing here with what's occurred is actually decreased our expenses in a lot of areas except for a few, and we're able to have we'll call it pretty much a exact balanced budget that we predict at the end of this fiscal year. So any questions on that?
Any questions or discussion? Could I request a motion to approve the fourth quarter amendment for the 2019-2020 268 budget?
I'll do the motion.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Tara, second, thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, it's approved.
Thank you.
All right, and this is for the Fund 269 budget. It's the same. We're going to do a fourth quarter amendment for 2019 through 2020 for Fund 269.
Yeah, so this is I'll call it orangish or peach or something like that column, the fourth one over. I'm not good with my colors. And really the modification here is that the auto lending libraries will go into next fiscal year because of the delay in the the Lakeshore Park building. So that's the modification. So instead of having expenditures of 73,750, we'll have expenditures only of 39,000, which is a net positive of $500 again. Good results for both. So I think that's an easy one. Any questions with respect to that?
Nope.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the fourth quarter amendment for 2019 to 2020 269 budget?
I'd like to do the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Craig does second. Okay, thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It is passed. All
Thank
right.
you.
This is the approval for the 2020-2021 268 budget based on COVID-19.
Yeah, so again, this is the green column second from the right. So we had an approved budget that we did in January. Again, what we looked at and asked the city with respect to an update on revenue and other things and how we potentially could be impacted expenditure-wise. There was no real expenditure concerns. There was a modification to update from a revenue perspective. Again, these are all in, I'll say in the positive that it's turning out to be. And we see what we had originally approved of a $141,000 deficit is now a deficit of 97,500 with our spending. And as we have shown year over year, that 97,000 typically evaporates to zero by the end of the year. So again, I highly recommend approving these modifications for the 2020 to 2021 fiscal year budget. Any questions?
No. All right, I'd like to request an approval for the 2021-268 budget based on COVID-19.
Motion, I'll do the motion again.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. And all in favor say aye.
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 Any objections? All right, that has passed. And then we'll do the same for 269.
So this is the green column on the far right. So the two modifications here are the marketing sponsorship increased as far as revenue. This is the donation we received. And then pushing the auto lending library from this fiscal year to next fiscal year. So that does modify both the revenue and the expenditure part. Again, this was reviewed by the financial committee. Again, I recommend approving these budget amendments. Any questions?
All right, do I have a motion to approve the 2020-2021 269 budget based on COVID-19?
I'll do the motion again.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Excellent. All right, and then the next one is the approve the retirement plan participation policy, which is on page 36.
As you can see, there's just one tiny change. It's highlighted in yellow towards the bottom of the policy. And what it is allowing is that loans are now permitted and transfers from other eligible plans are allowed. The city is opening this up. Should anyone need to dip into these funds, they are able to do this at this time. And this will stay available.
Was there a reason why we couldn't, that wasn't available before, and what's driving this change?
Well, the change that's driving it now is obviously related to the pandemic, and should someone have any financial concerns, the city has just over time had not allowed it, and now they are, and they're going to.
So just align with the city? All right,
Yes.
good.
Mhm.
Any discussions or questions? All right, do I have a motion to approve the retirement plan participation policy?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Excellent. All right, and then now we have the COVID-19 preparedness and response plan.
So this is one of the things that's required before we can actually open up the building, bring staff back, and then also eventually bring in the public. I've been working with the attorney. This is recommended through the Michigan Library Association and the Library of Michigan as well. And the only thing that you need to be aware of is, or one change from what you're looking at in your packet, is that the numbers were incorrect. So it started, just so you know, it started with Roman numerals and then it changed into actual numbers. It's actually just going to be numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. There is no, the 5, there was a mistake in missing it. It should go to 6 should be 5 and 7 should be 6. Nothing was omitted. It was just a numerical mistake there. But this is following the executive orders that have come out from the governor. This has been attorney approved. I've been working with our attorneys from Foster Swift. And what also will happen is the staff will get a welcome packet with this information in it. We will comply to all the information that's in this preparedness and response plan. It's also in response to OSHA compliance as well for our building. I'm also working on a video that I will put together that goes over all of these points so that the staff has it in advance of coming into the building, hopefully on the 15th of June. I've started small videos already with like how to take your temperature and things like that, but we'll do an all-encompassing video that will cover all this. Plus the staff will get a welcome packet on the 15th when they return to work. Will include all of these policies, even though they're going to get them in advance. We will have these policies in hard copy for them. And they're being issued 2 types of PPE masks. In fact, I will show you one of them. We worked with the city and it has our logo.
Perfect.
So this is our cloth. This is the cloth one that can be reused and washed. And then we also have a plexi plastic shield that staff can put over their face as well. So there's 2 types of masks that they will receive in their welcome packet. They will also receive a small bottle of hand sanitizer to start with. But I have been working with our facilities department to determine where sanitizing wipes will be located, what types of areas will be cleaned on a regular basis, going through protocols for our restrooms. All of that is being talked about on a regular basis, and those types of checklists are being put in motion as we speak.
Julie, how often will you require the employees to change their mask?
So the mask that we're giving them is a cloth mask that they can keep throughout the day. They can take it home and wash it. So we're giving them one that can be washed every night. We're not giving one that is disposable that they can use every day. If they wanted to bring in their own masks and their own disposable ones, I'm not going to tell them no, but I wanted to be able to give them some things that they had also from us to encourage. I will be asking the staff to wear masks when we first come back because that's part of the executive order right now. So we will continue to follow that. And then depending on executive orders, we will also, if she is encouraging people to wear them in the public, we'll be wearing them with the public. I just think that's a good message to be giving the community and a good message for all of us as staff for a while until some of those EOs are lifted.
Julie, how much do these masks cost?
I got them through the city. I can check the cost, but with it being reusable, they were minimal.
The reason I ask is because would it be challenging for our staff if they only have one, and if it has to be washed every night? Does that, again, I'm just kind of thinking of the staff and just
Sure.
they work every day. Right. Does it make sense that they have 2 of them, where one they're wearing, the next day they wash? I leave that to you. I'm just throwing
that's a great question, and I definitely can do that. I see your point. Absolutely. I have 100 on hold right now. I could definitely place another order very easily. The city's
I leave it up to you. You know the budget well. You know your numbers, and so. But I just want to throw that out.
Sure, absolutely.
Yep. Julie, what I may have missed it in here, but sure. Is there do you have like one of those no touch thermometers on hand? Like, so if let's say during the day somebody's fine when they first get in, but then during the day they feel sick and they're like, uh-oh, I think I need to check my temperature. Do you have a no touch?
We have 2 temperature stations that will be set up so that we can social distance staff when they come in every day. The staff can opt to take their temperature an hour before they come into work with their own device, or they can come in and they will have to take their temperature when they come into the building, and they have to record it and fill out a form for when they do that. So yes, there is a station they can go to should they not feel well. They can check their temperature again.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
This question probably more fits in one of the later documents, but I guess I'll ask it now since we're on masks. Do you plan to get involved to enforce people wearing masks?
I would like to take the approach of encouraging, but not requiring. I think we will have a bigger problem with requiring, especially with what other businesses are coming up against. And everyone has a First Amendment right to walk into our library. So we have to be very careful about what we put out there. The information that they will see posted on the outside of the building as they enter the building will say we encourage masks. All our staff, though, will be wearing masks. So we will encourage.
That's a great point, Julie, and I agree that just seeing some of the backlash with, there's always certain individuals, and I don't want to put, I wouldn't like to see our staff put in a position where their safety could be compromised by trying to hold a position where somebody is strongly defiantly against it. But maybe another possibility, again, to think about is if they're, disposable masks, I think are readily available now and are not expensive, and maybe even having a station there where people, if they forget they don't have one, they see it right there, they can put it on. That might be a good compromise there.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Yes.
And I agree with that approach. The only concern I would have is if you have somebody sneezing or maybe even intentionally taking some kind of dangerous action, I think we should be prepared to get involved if that goes on.
You can. I want to let you know that, per the attorney and the conversations I've had, is someone sneezing isn't necessarily COVID. And I'm not trying to make light of this. People have allergies, we have dust in the building. So we have to be very careful about, accusing someone of something, but also we want to be asking them, are you okay? Do you need any help with anything? So I do agree with you, but we do have to be careful about the approach.
I agree with that. We might not be accusing them, but we might be asking them to step outside for a few minutes or permanently.
Yeah, I think it's tricky. To Bill's point, he mentioned intentional. So and unfortunately, we've seen some news, right? Like we've seen things. Mm-hmm. There's people out there that don't want to protect people intentionally. So if someone did come in and with a heart to infect, whether it's COVID or not, we don't know. We're not doctors. But if they are sneezing fluids on others intentionally without, doing what they need to do, is there something, here's my deal. Is there something written that protects us? Because I feel like if we don't have anything written that protects us, we're in more trouble if they're putting your staff's safety at risk. Because there's two sides of that safety coin. One side is they're mad that you're asking for a mask and they do something disgusting, which we've seen. But then the other side is they purposefully sneeze on someone, which puts their safety at risk. So either way, your staff is in a pickle. But if we have something that's written that just says we have the right to refuse you if we feel, just like when, like that bullying policy that we came up with, me and Kat, last year, just a safety, just in case something happens. Mm-hmm.
I think I agree with you, Tara. I think we should have some clause like that, but we have to be careful. I mean, intentionally sneezing is a very hard thing to define, right? I mean, so that, things like that. But
we've seen weird things happen, right?
Yes, we have. And I think it's something where, if we feel somebody is going out of their way to be belligerent, and I think with any situation, we bring in the appropriate, the Novi police to handle the situation. But I agree with you. Maybe it should be well written so the staff understands the steps, like you said.
So no one says, well, that's not in your policy. You know how people are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. So if you go ahead and approve this tonight, what I will do is I will look into the concern of written to refuse service, should there be that concern. So I'll make sure that I can go back with the attorney on that, even with you approving this evening.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. And I will look further into that particular statement.
Thank you.
Would those things go under the response plan, or would that go into a different document?
I believe I'll double check with her because I'm working with the same attorney. It might go into a few, so I will double check for all of them.
Okay, I wasn't sure. All right, any more discussion or question?
No, I like it.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the COVID-19 preparedness and response plan?
Motion to approve the COVID-19 preparedness and response plan.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Excellent, approved. And then G is the approve the library reopening policy, which is on page 43.
Yes. So this is our library reopening policy. This is another policy that has to be put in place before we can open to the public. It does speak very closely to the phases of service which you received as well. And I know I shared that with you already a month ago. There's been some reiterations. The phase chart itself will move. You're not approving that, but you're approving this policy that works with and has language that mirrors and relates to the phases of service. I'm happy to take any questions at this time. And again, I will go back to the attorney and I will ask and include language that should there be someone who intentionally, is bringing up this issue, that we can look into refusing service if we feel needed. I will look into that language.
On page 45 under enforcement, it says guests may not enter the library or may be required to leave if they are not in compliance with any safety protocols or requirements in this policy, the reopening plan, or any condition or modification established. So it is definitely there.
So we probably can take that language and move it to the other one, but I will double check and I'll just make sure that it's consistent.
You know, like how it says may, all right. Right. Any questions or further discussion? All right, do I have a motion to approve?
No, I have a question.
I'm sorry.
Relative to the main computer room on the second floor, have you had any discussions yet about whether you'll close every other workstation or 2 out of 3 or anything like that to achieve social distancing in the computer area?
Great question, Trustee Lawler. We have already, based on measuring and 6-foot distancing, we are only allowed to put 2 computer stations at those pods, which normally there are 6. So those have already been put in place, and we're working on the social distancing floor language and things like that in order to have in place. You won't see people allowed to come in and use the computers until our phase 4, which is the grab and go, where they, depending on executive orders, depending on the governor giving us, is it based on capacity, usage, things like that. We have to wait for that information, where we already have set up where people would be able to sit down at 2 locations and they are 6 feet apart. We also have put in place covers for the keyboards and the mice. We purchased them so that those can be changed out each time someone uses them and sits down. They're getting a new cover for those keyboards and those mice. And then we will provide to the public, if they have a concern, there is a wipes dispenser they can grab to wipe the area that they would be sitting at. We also have protocols in place for cleaning those areas twice, morning and evening, of those areas every day.
That's excellent.
Staff that will do that, Julie, or are you guys contracting someone?
I have facility staff that will do a portion. Then we currently already have our cleaning contractor that will do also the cleaning that needs to be done as well. We also have set up that once a week, there will be a Clorox disinfectant cleaning of the building, which will occur typically on Sundays before we open at noon when we go to those hours. And if it can't be done Sunday because of vacations or whatever, we've got it planned already for Saturday. So it will be done on the weekend once a week. We do that high intensity Clorox bleach sanitization. The city's also doing that as well.
Great.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
To piggyback on the computers. Since the computers are going to be reduced in terms of the number, are we also creating a limit, like a time limit for people to use them?
That's a great question. So yes, we are, and we are able to time people on their usage and
Right.
let them know, and then it shuts them off. And
Okay.
so what that will, right now we're thinking maybe 30 minutes during the grab and go time. And then when we go to the next phase, it may be an hour that they would be allowed there, but we are able to time people out and communicate that to them. We've also put in place, if we need it, we've put in a place for timers to be used. If we had to give out a timer to people visiting the building based on capacity usage, we've purchased 100 timers based on the capacity and the square footage of the building. And currently, some of the guidelines that our governor has been giving us to allow people to come into the building, use it for 30 minutes on the timer. Those are going to be RFID tagged. We'll be able to get them back. We'll be using our sanitization machine, so those timers can be sanitized and then given back out and used. People might have to be patient about getting in the building if it's more than 100 to 140 people at one time. We'll watch those numbers. We'll see if we need more timers, and we'll look at capacity numbers as we know them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Question or curiosity question, if you don't
Sure.
mind. All right, so the AST machine, that's that robot thing that collects items, correct?
The automated return machine.
Okay, all right. My question is, so like items can be returned starting in phase 2. Why are we not implementing that machine till phase 4? Just curious on that one.
Great question, because we need to keep a quarantined return, which we're going to use our normal drop box. It allows for the materials to come in and handle more at one time. The AST machine will be considered a sanitized machine only. So we're keeping 2 separate areas so that the materials then can go on that machine once they've been quarantined and sanitized. We use that machine then to tell us where that book might be going. Is it a hold going to another library and it's already been sanitized? Is it a hold going to a patron? Is it going back to the shelf? And then it's doing that second process right there from the system in order to come back into the library and back to be brought back to the library. So the AST machine is being kept as our sanitized area. Great question.
Okay,
Trustee
thank
Yu.
you.
Great question. Ooh,
I
I
have
feel
a
like I'm on the
question
hot
about-
seat tonight.
It's a lot. It's a lot
Keep
to
asking, go for it.
You've got it all. You've got it all, Julie.
You're winning at Jeopardy, don't worry.
I have a question about restrooms.
Yes,
I noticed from phase 2 to phase 5, we're talking about doing high touch cleaning every 2 hours. And I was wondering 2 things. Is that from the CDC guidelines? And number 2, will that be done by a vendor or by our employees?
that's our employees. That's going to be the main function of our facilities team when we come back. The good thing with not having meeting room setups and stuff, we are able to dedicate that time to doing it. In the past, we've done every 3 hours. We've made the decision to go every 2 hours to do high touch and keep that cleaning up in all 9 restrooms, including the staff restrooms.
But CDC hasn't really specified what the.
They just say you have to, right. They just say you have to clean and you have to clean on a regular basis. We've put in place every 2 hours.
Very good.
Yep.
All right, I have one more question for
Go
you.
ahead.
All right, so once we get into phase 3, that's when we start moving into the drive-up window and the lockers. So are there any process changes in terms of how guests can request where their items will go? Because I know in a normal circumstance, they have to call ahead and give like an hour or 2 window. So I was wondering, since we're limited, will there be different processes or faster turnaround or anything like that?
So they will be calling the library, and that's why we are keeping our normal hours so that we can be available the normal hours of the library in 7 days a week. But we're working with some software that will allow us to put locker to drive up window. And that'll give us times for putting in those items and hopefully to keep moving those items out to people based on when they can pick things up.
Okay, thank you.
Great question.
Last question for me, elevators. Anything special being done as far as extra sanitizers nearby or signage or other things with elevators?
So they'll be social distanced with only one person to use the elevator. Luckily, we have two in order to move up and down, and they are on our high touch cleaning all day long.
Can we put some sanitizer right there by it? I've noticed some buildings are putting a little stand right in the front with it, and maybe even one on the elevator with encouragement to use those.
That's a great idea.
All right, any further questions or discussion?
This is great. And
I
feel
love
like it's-
Yeah.
So just I've seen a lot of phased plans so far, and this is the best one I've seen, Julie.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And just so you know, this gives us a framework to start with. I'm sure there will be tweaks. There might even be policies that later I will bring back to you. But this, I do feel very confident. All the managers have reviewed this. The phases, the phases of service, the staff has at least seen one rough draft of it. So they can see how detailed we've tried to be with all the different ways that we provide service. But this does give us, I feel, a very good framework to start with. And the attorney has been weighing in. She saw the phases of service. She saw what we were doing versus writing the actual policy. So I do feel very confident with moving forward.
And just to your point, like I love your openness that you don't know what you're going to get once we open. We'll probably learn more, right? There's going to be education. We've never done pandemic style before, right? So I like that you have an open heart to say, okay, guys, just keep your minds open that something might change. And I think I don't want to speak for everybody, but I get that.
And I think any business, that's doing this I would hope would have the same mindset, because we are all experiencing this for the first time. Absolutely. We're all doing this at the same time. So I do two words, and I know I shared it last month: flexibility and patience.
Yep.
To me, this is a living, breathing document. It will always be tweaked and
Right. Has to be.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the library do we need to approve? Yeah. The library reopening policy.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Approve the pandemic procedures, and that is what was emailed to us from Julie.
Yes. So this has a lot of reiterations of same language. Again, working with the same attorney. This is more for a staff perspective, and it's procedures. I don't typically have procedures approved, but I am looking for you to approve this just because it's related specifically to pandemic. And this will, again, give some guidance and allow us to move forward with, giving him good information to the board, to the staff as we open up. But this is more internally procedures and for the staff. And I entertain any questions if you have any. If you look on page 5, there was a notation of the word patrons. I will make sure that that's changed to guests. We're in the process of changing that word over. As you know, we're calling our visitors guests. So I did find that one after reviewing this a bazillion times, I did find that. And I'll make that change.
Any questions, or do I have a motion to approve the pandemic procedures?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Excellent. All right, Family Medical Leave Act expansion and emergency paid sick leave policy. It's on page 56 through 60.
So this is already in motion. This is me just bringing it to you so that you can go ahead and approve it. As you see, we actually went into effect April 2nd. I've been working with the city HR and they're just now putting theirs out as well, getting all the language put together. This is required by law for us to have this language. We have the same language as the city, except for it referring to library employees. I had lengthy conversations with the city of Novi's HR department, along with Marcia Dominic, who's our administrative assistant, who works with a lot of our HR policies. This is related to full and part-time employees, and these are good through December 31st of 2020.
This is separate from FMLA. This is just additional policy.
This is in addition to,
Okay.
and this is something specifically related to coronavirus.
And do you think, Julie, at the expiration date, that then you'll reevaluate what's needed and go from there? Is that the thought?
Yes, we would continue to stay working with the city should there be any changes, updates, or something new coming forward. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions or discussion? Do I have a motion to approve the Family Medical Leave Act expansion and emergency paid sick leave policy?
I make a motion to approve the Family Medical Leave Act, FMLA expansion, emergency paid sick leave policy for coronavirus.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Excellent. Are we at adjournment? We are. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Tara?
I think this is my job to adjourn. I take joy in it. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Do I have a second?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I just want to thank all of you. You are wonderful leaders. I appreciate you being available to me a lot of hours of the day, which you are, sometimes on weekends. So I thank you very much, sometimes in the evenings. I could not do this without your leadership and your support. So I appreciate all of you. I'm really happy to have these moving forward, these policies. This will help me with the staff with getting them ready. And again, I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Doing a great job, Julie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Don't forget to check your emails. All in favor to adjourn, say aye.
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 Opposed? Jeff, did you want to oppose?
I do, but yeah, we're having so much fun.